went online, I saw that, looking at the ideas that the people at LIAS have, I knew was something I should really put in for. My project here in LIAS is about a topic that I've been interested in the last 4 or 5 years. It's about queer Nigerian narratives. And so a critical gap that I've seen there is the fact that migration plays a very key role in queer lives and visibility. And so here in LIAS, I'll be looking at migration in queer Nigerian narratives using movies, literary texts, and of course, interviews with people who live the reality. Well, I'll say something interesting about queerness generally is that there are actually countries in the world where it is illegal to be gay as a man, but it's not illegal to be gay as a woman. And instances are Indonesia, Bangladesh, Jamaica.
I'm Radha D'Souza. I am originally from India, but I work now in the UK in the School of Law in University of Westminster in London, and I am Professor of Law, Development and Conflict Studies. If you talk to ordinary people, they think that corporations and states are two different entities. And what my project argues is this is not true, because when you look at the jurisprudence and when you look at the legal structures, then you will see that they are actually part of a same institutional arrangement for capitalism. This is a sequel to the earlier project, which was called What's Wrong with Rights? Social Movements, Law and Liberal Imaginations. And that was a critique of liberalism.
I'm a disorganized person, but when I enter in this building that has no straight lines, I become organized. The reason why I applied at LIAS, it was that LIAS adapted perfectly with my idea of research and my intellectual interests. It looked like this would be a place in which I could develop my interdisciplinary interest. I'm a political scientist by training, but I've never been comfortable so much within a strict disciplinary study. So my project here is about the rise of the extreme right, and my interest is to try to conceive history in a progressive manner and to construct identities with a progressive goal within the nation state, because the extreme right is capturing all these concepts.
Good afternoon and welcome to Diaspora Radio. My name is Lydia Radoli and today I'm reporting from Lufana University Studios. So here at LIAS, I'm doing a project on what I'm terming visual witnessing trauma phenomenon among journalists in East Africa. The idea is to find out the exposure of journalists to traumatic events like violence, crime, and terror. And the topic is about just trying to find out the exposure of trauma that the journalists have, and also interrogate the issue of mitigation and ask the question, do the visuals cause trauma? Does the experience of these events cause trauma? What I like is the platform for research that LIAS has given us, probably to be able to try different ways of doing research, methodologies and concepts, but also just to have conversations amongst ourselves.
So the sticky notes, first they are in clusters, so I can see the different connections and I move them around and around. And then towards the end, I try to put them in order so that I end up with a chapter outline. And when I'm done with that and when I'm happy, I usually copy them down. I take a picture of it and then I copy it down into my notebook. My project is situated in literary studies, which means I read literature. And I read specifically, I read American literature from Black authors from the early 20th century that imagine what it would be like to overthrow the US-American government and or found their own nation. LIAS really brings researchers together that probably wouldn't be in one room because their fields are slightly different, but that nonetheless have a lot to say to each other and can really profit from each other.
So at LIAS, I'm working on completing my manuscript called Rich in Needs, The Forgotten Radical Politics of the Welfare Rights Movement, which was a social movement in the US in the 1960s and 70s of mostly Black women, activist recipients of welfare. And it's looking at their struggle for guaranteed income and their rigorous theoretical contributions to our understanding of waged work and the possibility that waged work has for addressing poverty. And I think that this topic is particularly interesting today when people are thinking so critically about the place of work in society, how much we're working, how much of our lives should be dedicated to waged work. And these historic struggles for guaranteed income provide us with really rich fodder, empirical data for these conversations that we're having today about work.
For me personally, it's always a pleasure to be in touch with people from other disciplines like sociology, anthropology, philosophy, and so on, because I think I learn from the other fellows a lot about the shortcomings of my own work. For the past 6 years, I've been researching this so-called dialect recognition software, which is used by the German migration authorities in cases of undocumented asylum seekers. In both my academic and artistic work, I've been interested not so much in how the software works, but how it arrives at answers to the question, where are you from? And while being at LIAS, my main goal is to write a book about it, fusing both my artistic and my academic practice together. The fact that I'm both like an academic and an artistic fellow kind of gives me the opportunity of focusing a lot in the connection between these two things. So I hope in this year that I'm able to arrive with a much more concise notion about how my work manifests itself.
Yes, I'm Dr. Madhurima Chaudhary and I'm an assistant professor at the University of Calcutta in the Department of South and Southeast Asian Studies. I specialize in human rights. My project at LIAS titles as Evolving Peace Building Capacity Through Global Citizenship, and it actually both the concepts of global citizenship and peace are intertwined and interdependent, and how citizenship promotes peace and how peace fosters citizenship is a part where I would be looking into, and with reference or particularity to South Asia. I think LIAS has opened up a big area where everyone can apply their cultural diversities, and they give opportunity to mostly all over the globe. So that is one very critical aspect that they have, and it's very appreciable.
So I'm trained as an anthropologist, but I'm also a documentarist, and I work in very different media: film, video, poetry, opera, performance, and old-fashioned empirical historiography. The LIAS has given me an opportunity to try a new form of writing that crosses all of those boundaries, still rooted in the long-term, more than 2.5 decades, ethnographic field research that I did in South Africa, but now finding other ways to speak and communicate what I've learned to different kinds of audiences. The project at LIAS is intended to produce a book called Anatomy Lessons of a Miner, which is an experimental investigation of the lives of miners in South Africa and also in Canada, which is where I'm from originally. In this book, I am trying to work with the idioms that miners speak in that world. So, for example, there is a local expression in Chitonga: the mouth is dreaming, and it's a way to describe hunger. So this is an account of the sensory worlds, the remaking of the body in that landscape of both incredible wealth and fabulous dreaming, and also great deprivation.
So I call this my retological calculus, reta meaning network, in the sense that it allows me to map out, to draw out concepts and arguments and really whole books and to link them together. Not just the ways in which concepts connect to each other, well actually really the ways in which they don't connect to each other, the ways that they are grouped together, the way they're against each other, because concepts are, to use Deleuze and Guattari's phrase, war machines. They don't just sit there in relation, they fight. Here at LIAS, I'm researching why cybernetics is named after the Kubernetes, the pilot of the open seas. Now, the Greeks used to think that the open sea, where you could see no landmass around you, was like a trap. It was like a fishing net which would trap you from all sides unless you had a cunning pilot, unless you had a cunning Kubernetes there to guide you through, to read the signs in a way that was completely not philosophical, and Plato, in fact, really abhorred. So my research here is to say, can we reread this ancient figure of the Kubernetes through contemporary cybernetics?
My name is Laban Ayiro from Kenya. Just to add a little about myself, I grew up in the slums of Kibera, Nairobi, and the only way I came out of those tunnels was because of education. I am a professor of research methods, so we've come to look at alternative methods of pedagogy in research. Yeah, I think the university really aims to make us better human beings, more accommodating, able to establish relationships, and of course be experts in particular areas. Like in my school, communication is the flagship.